back. Another episode of Gemini Soulcast. I'm your host, Sin.
And I'm your host, Rob. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in on the previous episode. We got a lot of really cool things happening in the works as well as right now.
Yes, we do.
I think that we both have a lot of things going on in our lives, which kind of begs the question of the topic that I kind of want to discuss today.
Oh, which is?
Number one, accountability.
Oh.
And number two, boundaries.
Boundaries.
Yes.
Ooh.
So, Sin, when you hear the word accountability,
yeah,
what does that make you think of?
I feel that other people that do things should hold themselves accountable, especially when they're doing it to me. Nah. No, but seriously. Accountability, though, is really like taking responsibility for your actions and admitting it.
Right. I feel like this kind of goes hand in hand with manifestation, because if you want to manifest something, a lot of times you might think, oh, I'm just going to sit around and think about it and yada, 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 without really taking responsibility for your own actions, right? Say you want to write a book.
Right.
But if you're not taking that responsibility to be like, okay, let me take a class, or let me sit down and actually write something every single day, then you're not holding yourself accountable. I think it's one thing to trust the universe. It's another thing to also trust yourself. And you have to be able to give yourself the ability and power to do the things that you want to do. That's how I really think that you can really manifest something really powerful and amazing.
Right. But you have to admit to it, though, because it's very easy for us to try to manifest things or try to create something. And then when it doesn't go our way, we come up with excuses and reasons. And this is why I didn't go to the gym, or this is why I didn't start that chapter.
Right. This is why I'm unhealthy right now, or I'm overweight.
Right.
It's because my job.
Right. When it comes down to you and your choice, it always comes back to you, to the person, to the individual.
Okay. So then when it comes to that accountability that you're talking about, right, and saying that looking back to yourself, how can one reprogram their own mind and their own soul so that they're able to be aligned with their dreams, and so they won't get disappointed later on if that would happen? Because as you said, you have to look at yourself first. I
mean, well, you got to take responsibility. You got to show up for yourself. It really comes down to like also you showing up for yourself.
Can you give me an example of that?
Like let's say when I do my TikTok lives, right? I say, oh, this week I'm gonna do 30 hours of TikTok lives.
That's a lot.
I know, but this past month I did 88. Shout out to me. But well, just about. I think it was like 70. But let's just say that you decide this week I'm gonna do 30 hours of TikTok lives, right? You have to like show up to do that. Like you have to like either get yourself organized or make the schedule and stick to it.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So to me, it's like you showing up for you will make other people show up for you.
Ooh.
So if you don't show up to do those TikTok lives, then obviously you're not going to have an audience. An audience can't show up for you because you're not showing up for yourself.
Right. It's almost like the idea of like, how can other people trust you if you can't even trust yourself with what you're saying?
Right.
You tell yourself, oh, I want to go TikTok live, or I want to post more often.
Right.
And then you don't. Number
Right.
one, other people won't trust what you say, but then you yourself are not going to trust what you say either.
Right.
I find that a lot of times I have people actually ask me, how do you build confidence? And the thing that I realize is that if you want to build self-confidence, you have to be able to do the things that you tell yourself you're going to do. Ultimately, you have to show up. You have to keep your own promises to yourself.
Oh, yeah.
So I remember there was one time when I was very down. I was pretty depressed. Wintertime, like December 2022. And so I met up with one of my best friends from high school. And I was like, man, I just feel a little lost. I don't know what to do with my life. I just feel all over the place and I'm kind of in a funk. And he says, dude, you have everything that you need, but you got to rebuild your confidence again. It's like you've fallen and you've scraped your knee. I was like, okay, well, how do I get back up? And he said, start by doing something really small that you can commit to yourself doing every single day. You don't have to think of yourself like, oh, wow, I'm going to write a whole novel in 6 months. You could if that is really what you want to do.
Right.
He's saying start with something small and promise yourself that you will always show up to this simple task. So I decided to say, you know, I'm going to journal. That was my thing.
Okay.
So I started journaling, and just like every morning I'll show up and I make it easy for myself. I make it very easy for myself to do the task. I put the journal right on my desk. The pen is already there. So the moment I wake up, after I meditate, I go right to journaling. After my 100th journal entry, I stopped counting.
Wow.
Because by then I was like, okay, I'm good. And I still journal.
Right.
To this day, I still do.
That's like also like with meditation. You could start small. Like people think when you mention meditation, oh, I can't meditate for, 30 minutes. I can't do an hour. Well, how about you just start with 5 minutes?
Yeah.
5 minutes. You're just like training yourself.
Right. If you could have 5 minutes to go on Instagram or to scroll on TikTok,
yeah,
you definitely have 5 minutes.
You have the time. You can make the time.
You make the time in the morning, and you can find ways to make it easy for yourself, right? For example, when you wake up in the morning, don't immediately go on your phone.
Oh, yep.
That's a big
That's
one.
a big one
for a lot of people. And make it easy for yourself to not be on your phone. Put your phone away from your bed. Mm-hmm. So when you grab your phone, like it'll be harder for you to reach. And if you're gonna meditate, you could do it anywhere. Have a chair that you always know that this is the chair where I'm gonna meditate in, or I'm gonna be on my bedside. This is where I'm gonna, meditate. And it's just 5 minutes.
5 minutes.
Guided meditations. There's so many free ones on YouTube, on Instagram, everywhere. Spotify. Pick that one, or pick the same one if you want to.
Right.
Just do it every single day.
And there's people that'll be like, oh, but I can't because when I get up in the morning, I have to get ready for work. I have to get to work and this, that. How about making it a goal or set a goal for yourself to, you know what? I'll get to the office 10 minutes earlier than usual. And then I'll take 5 minutes to just sit in silence. Mm-hmm. Or there's people that drive too. If I had a car, living in New York, I'd be meditating in my car. Yeah. A lot of people do it. I would definitely do it.
Actually, being in your car is actually super nice. I guess that's the one benefit of like when you're not living in New York City, you have a car that's like your safe space.
Yeah. But, it's like a great thing. Like, and then there's some people, you can meditate in your bathroom. If you live with other people, it's just about making the time and finding the way to make the time.
Right. And a lot of those times you could start by doing something that works for other people, but ultimately you're going to find a way that works for you. For example, if you're like, oh, I have roommates, or like I live in the same, I'm in the same bedroom as somebody else. Maybe my own bedroom won't be the ideal place to meditate. Maybe it's in the bathroom, specifically when I shower. Because when I shower, I might not have my phone, and I'm going to purposely let the water hit my body and let it wash away the day, and that'll be my meditative moment. I'll give myself 5 to 10 minutes to do so. So the more you do that, the more you're holding yourself accountable. And then you can start tackling on bigger tasks.
Right.
And then that's when we get into like quantum leaping. And then the next thing you know, you have jumped so many timelines that you didn't even think were possible. And it all started with just a simple act of handling the small things.
That's it.
And it's by showing up. It's exactly what he said.
You got to show up for yourself.
Right.
It's the same way that we say you got to love yourself. How do you expect other people to love you if you don't love yourself?
Right. Part of loving yourself is respecting yourself. Do you respect yourself enough to do the thing that you say you're going to do?
Oh, man, I'm a little guilty with that. I'm working on it though, but it's true.
But see what you just did there. You recognize that within yourself.
Yes, I've been recognizing it.
Right, because you're holding yourself accountable. You're not bullshitting and saying that, oh no, this is not me. Woe is me. I'm above that. You're like, no.
Definitely something that I struggled with. Yes.
But see, you're already aware of that. Mm-hmm. And you're holding yourself accountable by saying, you know what, I do tend to do this, or I do tend to think about it in this way. I'm a work in progress.
Right.
And that in a way is also loving yourself too.
Yes. And I'm also like learning not to just put things off.
See,
I'm supposed to do that today, but I'll just do it tomorrow. It's okay.
Procrastination
is huge on my end.
Me too.
But I've worked on it. I'm trying. Like, I've become better at it, but I'm still working on it. I'm still a work in progress.
Wow. How would you Okay, I feel like a lot of people procrastinate. Maybe I definitely don't think it's just a Gemini thing.
It's definitely not just a Gemini thing.
So how does one like overcome procrastination?
Man, I mean, you really got to push through that too.
Uh-huh.
You kind of, just like what you just said, like you pointed out, oh, but you're self-aware. Like you got to work on your self-awareness, really. You do. Because there's so many ways, like just put it on your phone, like in your calendar or in your notes. Some people make lists. Let me see, what is it that I said I was going to do today? Again, it's the little things to help you get to the next level with it, or to take on the next step.
I actually have this thing. I've been doing it for a few years. I call it the daily score. So every day on my notes phone is like my to-do list. I write down every single thing that I need to do. I call it the daily score because I treat it like a game. So as long as I hit at least 50% of my tasks on my daily score, then I've won that game.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah, like I've won that day.
I like that a lot.
Now, some days I barely win. Some days I get destroyed. And there are a few moments when I absolutely owned that day.
Wow.
Every single thing I've done, I've hit it.
What if you put like the tasks and you put points next to it?
Ooh, I think that would be the next key for me.
Like the little thing, like the smallest thing that you feel, you'd be like, all right, I could get 5 points if I do this.
I like that.
The bigger thing, all right, I'll get 20% if I do this. Like,
right.
I'll get 20 points.
Yeah, 5 points for Gryffindor.
Like,
right
if you have like that and you break it up and you add little points to it and then see like how many points you get, or if you get the 100 points for the day.
Because then what you're doing is then you're creating like more importance on certain tasks. Like you're going to prioritize a certain task. That's worth more points. Maybe it's a harder task to do.
Right.
So that'll be worth 50 points.
Right.
That is the big one for today.
Right.
So then the smaller stuff, okay, even if I'm not going to sweat the smaller stuff, if I don't hit that one, that's fine. But the big one,
I have to hit.
I got to get that 3-pointer right
sometimes it's the big ones that we keep putting off.
Yes.
Because we don't want to deal with it. You know what? I'll just do this.
That happens to me too. That happens to me a lot.
But it like kind of like helps you, stay accountable.
It does, yeah.
For yourself, especially like the big things. Like those are really the things that, like what I said, we put them off.
Yeah. Instead
of just tackling it. Because we're looking at it too like, oh, that's the hardest thing for me to do. What's the easiest thing? Oh, yeah, take out the trash. I get 3 points for that.
Yeah. Right? But it feels, everything was easy. Everybody would do it, right? True. The harder things is what's going to separate you from the rest of your peers.
Right.
It's like
especially, but if you have like a big goal in mind, like this was one of our goals.
Yeah, to start a podcast.
We're going to do a podcast. All right.
Right.
And what happened? Rob is like, all right, we're doing this day. I'm going to send you the calendar invite. Like, he's just making sure like we're so organized. It's true.
I do.
We had a meeting and it's like we're treating it like a job. It's kind of like the way that I want to run like my online presence. Yeah. The things that I do. I literally said to myself, now that I'm like, in like TikTok creator program and all that stuff, I'm like, I really have to start treating this like a job.
You have to, because you are now self-employed. You don't have a manager breathing down your back saying that this is your schedule. You have to create your own schedule.
You have to do it. It's like going to college.
Right.
When they're hands off.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Because you can do whatever you want, except you don't have a counselor saying that, oh, hey, like you're going to flunk out of university. This time it's just going to be you're just flunking out of your own life and your potential.
Right.
So don't do that to yourself.
No.
If you love and respect yourself, go after the things that you actually want to do and do it. What's good, everybody? We're here at the halftime of our episode. Usually we'll have a commercial break, but for now we have affirmations as well as a quick little oracle reading. Sin, would you like to do the honors?
Yep, we're gonna pick a card for y'all right now to give you the message for today. And the message is stand your ground.
Wow.
Stand your ground. Which goes hand in hand with this episode on boundaries.
Boundaries.
Yeah, I'm looking at this and it's basically saying to like hold on to your power. Focus on your truth. Right. Show up in your truth, and it's really okay for you to do that. So stand your ground, guys.
Stand your ground, stay accountable, set those boundaries, know that you're more powerful than you think. So
hey.
Yes. This is nice. I love that. Great. And now we're returning back to the episode. So we talk about accountability as a big one, right? Now, boundaries.
Boundaries. There's boundaries, though, when it comes to accountability and all that.
Okay.
Right? Because it's like what you just said or what we just discussed, right? You're going to make a list for yourself. And you know what? I'm going to do these 5 tasks and I'm going to get them done today. And then all of a sudden, somebody calls you. Yo, you want to do this today? And you're thinking like, man, I really have to get, I really got to record this podcast. Damn, but they're inviting me to go see a concert. Oh, it's kind of conflicting. Do I just put it off? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You gotta really create boundaries with stuff like that too. You know what?
Yeah.
I gotta tell them no. Or even if, let's say, they just need help with something. And all right, I could stop what I'm doing and help them, but I need to get this done today. And sometimes you just have to say no. And it's okay to say no. And I know you don't like to say no because I'm one of those people. I don't like to say no, but I have learned to say no.
Us Geminis are very non-confrontational in that sense because I feel like there's that people-pleasing aspect of us where we want everybody else to be happy. We want to not show off, but we want to entertain people and make people feel happy, that we sometimes neglect our own happiness and our own truth.
Right.
So I think that those boundaries are very important to set. And there's a lot of power in saying no. There really is.
There is.
I've had moments when I've had an audition or maybe I get an offer for a part and I'm just I'm not about it. And there's a little part of me, that fear that's what if I say no to it? Am I burning a potential bridge, or is there ever going to be another opportunity for me?
Yeah.
Versus I got to look into myself and be like, is this opportunity going to bring me joy or fulfillment? Is this aligned with my higher self? Because if not, I need to give myself the power and permission to say no.
Yes.
Because then otherwise, I'm going to be stuck in the same loop again and again and again. And that's why a lot of people end up repeating the same life lessons every single cycle. Yep. Doesn't matter how many lunar eclipses it has been, you're still doing the same shit that you've been doing 10 years ago. And you see certain people that are that way. Right. And then you're like, why are you still like this? Because they never learn from them. They're never able to set the boundaries for themselves.
And honestly, if you're constantly saying yes to people, there are people that will take advantage of that.
Yes. Big time.
They could know that, oh yeah, Rob told me, he's doing his podcast recording today. But he won't say no. So let me just call him up. He could put that off. And then they'll keep pushing, and if you're one to be like, all right, let me just call Sin and I'll just push it back. And
yeah,
you know what I mean? And then the recording never happens. It's no, you got to create that boundary. Listen, I can't.
Yeah.
If I have to do this right now and that's that. And if you look at your schedule and you know what, I have time later, maybe I can help you then. But I have to take care of this. But if you're constantly putting it off, there's people that will take advantage of that.
And that's part of what it means to have self-love. Yeah. Self-discipline is self-love. Because you have to be able to create that little beauty. Your soul is so tender. Our emotions, especially us Geminis, we're so mushy, gushy, emotional.
What you mean?
So, no, never. That's not us at all.
Just a little emotional sometimes.
No, we're so grounded. Mutable air signs. We have to protect our lives. We have to protect our soul. And sometimes, yes, it is to protect ourselves from other people. But sometimes those boundaries are also meant to be in place so that we don't outstretch and overextend ourselves too.
Right.
We have to know our boundary of this is the limit of my energy right now.
Right.
I'm doing this podcast or I'm working on my business, but I'm getting burnt out. I have to be willing to draw that line of when do I clock out? Especially those who have their own businesses or who are entrepreneurs. It's your job is 24/7. You got to have a time when you get to be okay, this is when I stop answering emails.
Yes.
Right?
You do. You also have to have the boundary of all right, I'm off work. I need to relax now. And then you have somebody that knows that you're off work and they just assume that, well, you're not at work now, so you have the time to do this for me.
Right.
That happens a lot.
It happens a lot.
And it's like, actually, no, I don't.
Yeah.
Because I need to go home and XYZ. And it's like, and it kind of sucks because sometimes it's like you got to tell like a little white lie, just like, but that comes from us too. Because now we feel some kind of guilt.
We do, yeah.
We feel a little guilty. So we're like, let me just tell them that I have a meeting that's running late or whatever. Instead of just saying, listen, I'm really tired. I've had a long days, a lot of things that went on. I just want to go home and have my dinner and relax. And that's it.
I think that is when you are truly able to live authentically as yourself. Is when you're able to acknowledge where you are and express who you are in this moment, how you're feeling.
Without regret or feeling guilty.
Yeah, because I do that sometimes too. I'm too busy, or maybe I got,
I know.
I guess.
Me too.
The people-pleasing tendencies.
Yeah. Sometimes we just have to do less of that, like we have to put ourselves first.
Yeah. But I do believe that if you're putting ourselves first, and it's not selfish. I want people to know that putting yourself first is not selfish. It is self-love. And by you putting yourself first, you will be able to serve more people. But how can you serve people when you are depleted? When you are empty?
Right. I like to call it selflessly selfish.
Ooh. I like that.
Selflessly selfish. It's okay for me to choose myself today. There's nothing, even in relationships, you got to set boundaries there too.
Yeah, because even what you said, right? Maybe your partner knows that you're off at 6 p.m. and it immediately hits you up and says, hey, what are we doing? Are we going out and stuff? And maybe you're just like, look, honey, babe, like, I'm so exhausted. I would love to do this, but I just can't. All right? You have to be able to set that boundary. Otherwise, you're going to end up going to whatever event, date with your partner, and you're going to be miserable.
Yes.
And then you're not showing up the best for your partner.
Yes.
And then you look bad.
Yes.
You're going to be blamed for that too. And if I were to look at it on a macro level, on an equal bird's eye view, am I going to say that it's your fault? Honestly, yes. Because you have every right and ability to say, hey, sorry, babe, I can't do it today.
Right.
Respectfully.
Right.
But you decide to go for it just to please your partner.
Yeah.
In that moment.
There's a lot of us too that need to learn how to set up those boundaries, speaking of relationships. Because it's the same thing. Like sometimes you want to hang out with your significant other and they're too busy. And then all of a sudden they have the time and they expect you to cancel your plans.
Oof.
To accommodate them. Which, you know what I'm saying? Then that's where you have to set up your boundary. Sorry, boo, but I have my own plans. I'm going out with my friends or whatever. If you want, we can schedule something for another time.
Yeah.
But a lot of people will accommodate them so much, they'll change their entire schedule. They'll make themselves available. That's not choosing yourself.
Right.
Choosing yourself is being confident and secure enough to know just because we're not hanging out right now doesn't mean we can't do it another day. As opposed to acting like, well, if I don't accommodate this person now, what if I don't get this again?
Yeah.
And that's really operating.
Then they don't love me.
Right.
They're gonna cheat on me. They're gonna leave me.
Right. And it's okay to say no in that moment because you have a life too.
Right. And that's where you gotta hold yourself accountable.
Yes.
To your life, to the things that you want to do.
Right.
Even if you are in relation to other people. Even friendships, family.
Yes.
I know a lot of people, we have family obligations, right? Things that we're like, oh man, every time I'm with so-and-so at this family gathering, they always bring this up, or I got to do this for them. And at some point, we have to put our foot down and be like, hey, look, I love you guys, but I got to take a step back.
Right.
That's when I hold myself accountable and I'm setting these boundaries.
Right. And it's okay. It's okay. It's okay to have those boundaries.
Yeah.
And, and it's okay to hold yourself accountable and not do things operating out of fear or guilt or anything like that. You got to honor yourself so that other people honor you. And when you create those boundaries and you stick to them and you hold on to your power, people are going to show up and respect your time.
Yeah.
respect your boundaries. You know, people that really want to be there, they're going to respect that. Like self-respect is very attractive.
Oof. Tell me about it.
It is.
Self-respect attracts more respect. Self-love attracts more love.
Right.
Right? So you respecting your own time, other people will respect your time as well.
Right.
And it could be any type of thing that you set out to do. I'm
Yes.
happy to say that, I'm happy to say, here on the podcast, I'm officially over 9 months sober.
Hey, let's go.
Thank
I'm
you.
so proud of you.
Thank you so much. Yeah.
Not that he was a drunk before.
No, I wasn't. I wasn't doing anything too crazy, but I definitely, when I drink, I drank a lot. When I
Right.
would go out, and
You didn't set your own boundaries.
I didn't
with
set
the
my own
drinking.
boundaries. Yeah, and I especially didn't set my boundaries when it came to smoking weed.
Ooh.
I was a huge pothead, honestly, all throughout my 20s. That became part of my identity. Even my friends that I hung out with, and some of them just knew that I would smoke weed all the time. I used to smoke 6 to 8 times a day.
Wow.
I had moments when I wake and bake.
I'm not a smoker at all. So to me, it's like, I'm going to keep my lungs pink, yo.
Right. Because I didn't realize it until afterwards that I'm not respecting my body. I'm not respecting my mind.
No.
The moment I made that decision to just cut everything cold turkey, alcohol and weed, I was like, okay, now I'm going to live a life of sobriety. Even if I go to weddings or even if I go out to a bar with friends, I make that active choice to not drink, to not smoke. And the moment I tell that to my friends, they get it. The friends that don't get it and they say, come on, why aren't you doing this? They're not your real friends.
Right.
The ones that see the boundaries that you set and respect it,
Yes.
hey, they're worth keeping around.
Yeah.
Because they respect you, because you respect yourself.
Right. Exactly. And it's interesting, right? Because, like, it all comes down to our soul. Mm-hmm. But our soul is living in this vessel right here. So if we want to stay here longer, we got to take care of the body.
Our body's a temple.
So that we can stay here longer.
Definitely.
You know, and I know sometimes some of us check out sooner than we should, or, but the whole point is like, yes,
Yeah.
It's about like really looking at your body, your mind. You know how you want to keep your mind healthy. You want to stay emotionally healthy, but you also want to stay physically healthy. And for some people, I get it. Doesn't mean that, you have to go to the gym every day, because I don't go to the gym every day. But I do walk everywhere. I walk a lot. That's one thing.
Right.
But at the same time, it's like you shouldn't like look at that either, because there's a lot of people that say like, well, I'm going to go to the gym. And they want to, make these resolutions at the beginning of the year, and they're done by
Yep. they're
by
done by February. Yep.
So if that's something like you really want to do, you don't have to wait till January to decide to do that. You can do that now.
I don't believe in New Year's resolutions.
Yeah.
I really
don't
don't.
either. I never make one. People be like, what's your New Year's resolution?
Yeah,
I'm
what?
like, I don't know. I don't really have that.
I
Like,
was like, no, my resolution is now.
Yeah.
It's here whenever it is.
I just decide to do whatever at this time, at the present moment.
Yeah. Because you know that if something's good for you, or you have to cut something out of your life, you're going to do it now.
Right.
Immediately.
You don't have to wait.
Don't wait for that. And that is another reason why, and going back to what you're saying about why people just like quit going to the gym after a month, they bite way more than they can chew. You're going to the gym expecting that you're going to have all these amazing workout plans and you're going to and like have a fit body in like 3 months, and it's not that easy like that. It's simple. Show up. Do your research on a specific plans that you want to work on, upper body, lower body. Figure out your rest days. Have a system, because once you have a system, then you can hold yourself more accountable.
I was about to say, and then you hold yourself accountable. But you said
Hey,
it.
I see. These are two Geminis talking right here, We're about to finish your other sentences by the end of this podcast.
No, but yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
Exactly what you're saying. Like, some people need to create their little plan.
Mm-hmm. Have a plan. And look, even if you don't know your plan, that's okay. You will know as you go. And you also know as you feel things out too. Give yourself permission to figure out what that plan is and take your time.
Don't compare yourself either.
Yeah.
Because a lot of us too, like, we're comparing ourselves to things that we see on social media. You're going to have these people that are out here working out. They've been doing it for a long time. And you're thinking, well, I have to do exactly what they do. Yo, I go to the gym, and I've been to the gym before. I will go, and I remember going with a friend of mine, and she knew the machines. Half those machines, I'm like, I don't even know how to use this thing. I don't know, but I didn't expect myself to know in that moment how to use it, or how to turn it on or whatever. Like I just learn as I go.
You can't compare somebody else's chapter 20 with your chapter 1.
Right.
That's gonna deter you from ever even wanting to write your next chapter.
Yeah.
Start where you are, go slow and steady, and then you're gonna build up to that. So it's really to wrap up everything that we're saying.
Yes.
To hold yourself accountable, you can start with small steps.
Small.
Having boundaries in place, having a system that works for you. That's how you get to uphold yourself to be accountable. So everything is related to each other.
Right. And sometimes you just learning as you go, and that's okay too.
Yeah.
That's how you figure out like what works for you and what doesn't work for you.
Mm-hmm. And I think, honestly, that's the most fun part about it. Because you could have your plan. Yeah, this is the most devised plan ever. And there's a quote from Quincy Jones where he says, you want to know how to make God laugh? Tell him your plans.
Because they never go.
They never go according to plan.
They never go the way that you would expect.
It doesn't mean you shouldn't have a plan.
Yeah, but you should be open to changes.
Right.
You should be open to sometimes there's a little roadblock or whatever. And like we said in the last episode, right? Divine protection. Rejection is redirection.
Exactly.
All
Everything
that
has
stuff.
a timing.
Delay is not a denial.
Exactly. And I think this is where you get to mold. This is the perfect molding of trusting in the universe, trusting in the path that you're going to go on, while loving and respecting yourself, doing what you have control over. And then anything that you don't have control over, you let that go. You let
surrender
the universe
it.
Surrender
it. Let go and let God.
I love that.
Yeah. Or let go and let it flow. Whatever you feel like saying to yourself.
Right. And I'm sure just whatever mantras you can make up too, or songs that you want to have.
Yeah.
So yeah.
But honestly, to wrap this up, I will say, like, just create your plan, like, or whatever it is that you feel like you need to do for yourself, and just hold yourself accountable on those days that, man, I didn't get this done. That's okay. That doesn't mean beat yourself up over it either. Have compassion for yourself.
Yeah.
Just be like, I didn't get to this today. Okay, I'm gonna try again tomorrow. And you'll see, like, little by little, you're gonna remember that, like, I was supposed to do this. No, I'm going to take care of it right now. And you start to like show up and you start to follow through, which is important too. And when you start doing that for yourself, you start doing it for other people. Yes. It's like little by little. And definitely when you create your boundaries, like, got to stand in your power. Like, and it's okay. Like you said, it's okay to say no. Don't always have to say yes, because sometimes you can't. And, you got to take care of you first before you could take care of anybody else.
100%. Wherever that you are going to be starting on, whatever project, and let us know in the comments. Tell us, send us a DM of like what kind of new thing that you want to work on, what milestone that you want to aim for. Maybe you want to run a half marathon, maybe you want to lose 20 pounds, maybe you want to go to get your master's, right? Let us know what it is that you want to do, and we'll make sure that we'll give you a shout out, because we know that we're all in this together. We're here to grow together. And we hope that every time you tune into an episode that you could feel more fulfilled, you could feel happier, brighter, and you could feel that you're able to find that part of your soul again that feels alive. So, yeah.
Hey, that's a good way to wrap it up.
Yeah. So thank you, everybody, for joining in at Gemini Soulcast. Once again, I am your host, Rob.
And I'm Sin.
And we hope you have a wonderful day.
And we'll catch you on the next one.
Hey.
Bye, guys.